the humble mole, the tosser of dirt, the saviour of soil, the inconsiderate pest. This is a story from Cornwall, from the year 1850. And because it's quite an old story, I've modernised it slightly. But I hope it still retains the same story elements from all those years ago. What is the life of a mole like? Dark, silent, alone, scurrying through narrow tunnels, perhaps being born and dying in the same area of land, never seeing the sun rise or set, never seeing the sky or another mole, a dark exile from the reality of life. But our story doesn't begin with a mole, it begins with a woman, a lady named Alice of the Lea. She was tall and tender, with dark blue eyes that men said looked like summer waters, where the light glinted off the sea. She always made sure to dress to impress, choosing a fine assortment of jewellery, gold and silver to adorn herself with. And she knew she looked good. She owned it, being proud and vain in equal measure. Alice was often sought after by men, but she never gave anything away, behaving like a stone, cold and calculated. Apart from one gentleman, a knight by the name of Sir Bevan of Stow. He was her rock, her heart, her star, her everything. And she would do anything for him. And so one day both parties were attending a banquet. In fact, Sir Bevan had actually invited the young Alice. And so she knew that this was her opportunity to sweep him off his feet. And so she sought her mother to find for her the finest clothes. She came in with this robe of woven velvet, and Alice put it on and looked at her jewellery collection and chose a ring. Bright, bold and beautiful. The sort of ring you only wear once in your life, on that special day. And as she put it on, her mother gasped, "Alice, I only pray that the fine gentleman likes you as much as you like him." Alice went over to the mirror and looked at her beauty. "Mother, I see myself. I do not need your prayers." And at that moment, there was a shriek. And as Alice's mother was watching her, she disappeared from her sight forever. Her mother locked herself away in a room and cried until there wasn't any tears left. Everybody wanted to help her and console her, but there was nothing anyone could do. They spent their days and nights searching for the young Alice, but as the moon waxed and waned and the sun set and rose, there was no sight of the girl. One day a gardener was digging with a spade, and he saw something glinting in the corner of his eye. He went to look at what it was, and he saw a bright, bold, and beautiful ring. Instantly, acknowledging it was Alice's. He picked it up, and without studying it, he went straight for Alice's mother. He showed her the ring, and she instantly recognized it as her daughter's. It was a piece of her, the last thing that she was wearing on the night she disappeared. And just before the tears came again, she noticed something that wasn't on the ring before. An engraving around the outside. And as she looked, she realized she couldn't read it. And so the gardener suggested they go and see the priest. So they went to the church and showed the ring to the priest. The priest explained that it was an old Cornish language that nobody spoke anymore, but he could translate it. The earth must hide both eyes and pride. When he uttered those words, from the other side of the church a shriek came. And the three of them went to investigate, and they found a dark creature, small and scurrying about the place. And as they watched it, there was something about its appearance and its movement that suggested that this was Alice. And the priest confirmed it, saying that the young girl was visited by doom because of her pride, saying that the velvet robe that she wore had been transformed to skin, and that her eyes had been sealed forever. For as they watched, they noticed it moved about blindly. The first mole of these hills of Cornwall. And so, dear viewer and listener, I warn you that the next time you dress to the nines, choosing vain clothes to seek love, cast your eyes downwards, and if you happen to see your reflection in a mirror or glass, don't arrogantly see beauty. Instead, remember the story of Alice. Remember what happened to her because of her pride, and remember the words written on that ring. The earth must hide both eyes and pride. So that was a story from Cornwall from a long time ago. And whilst I still think it's a pretty story, I think a few of the ideas have evolved and changed slightly over these many years. So the next time that you are dressed looking your best, go out and show the world. Because we are now in the era of filters and glossy magazines and models, and everywhere things are telling you how you should look. So if you think you look good, you do look good. But I think the core essence of the story is about vanity. And that links really well into the story I told last week, which the theme was vanity. And so both of those stories have the same ideas. And that is what this story is all about. Now, why did I tell you that particular story? Well, it was a story request. Someone got in touch with me last week with the remnants, the memory, the idea of a story that they were told during their childhood, a story they enjoyed greatly, and asked whether or not I recognised it. And I didn't. But I did a little bit of research, and I found nothing. But then I asked the storytelling community, and a lady called Betty Skelton sent me that original story, which you can find down below. And so I took that and I tweaked it a little bit, and I have shared something similar with you now. But if that person who requested that story is watching this, hopefully you can now take that and begin that journey to relive that moment of your childhood. And if you're watching this and you have a story request, perhaps a story you vaguely remember or really like, please get in touch. And I'm happy to tell it for you. And perhaps someone listening to this will hear that story that you really like, and they could enjoy it as much as you. Because at the end of the day, storytelling is just passing on stories and communication and humanity. And until the next time I can share a little bit of humanity with you, thank you for watching The First Mole of Cornwall.